Thank you for coming. The only thing I ask is put your phones on vibrate, please. Okay, let me make sure mine is on vibrate. Okay, mine's on vibrate. Okay, so the reason I did this, there's more people that are going to be coming in. Please excuse those people, guys, but there is some traffic. Reason I did this is because, first of all, I've known these three individuals, great friends of mine. I've known Amit now since I joined the business almost 15 years ago. We started in the same company, and I've seen his growth go exponentially higher and higher, and I know he's just going to get higher and higher, okay? Amanda and Dunia, luckily I was lucky to have them as students, okay, which many of you have been my student as well. And the reason I brought them in is because they are destroying the business. They started doing that on literally the first year. So I wanted to make sure that you guys hear from people that, are doing what they did, when they first got in. It may have taken them a month, may have taken them 2 months, but within the year, they were already doing great, okay? And now their business is already huge. I know they've been in the business almost 4 years, right? Approximately. Dunia just got her broker's license. No, not yet. Amit, I know,
No.
Not yet. Okay. So, they all go through different paths, I guess you can say, almost like what you see with me and Amit. Amit went more luxury. I went more, let me open up a school, let me do a brokerage. Okay, so, but it shows you that you can make it in so many ways in this business. One of the reasons I love this business. So I'm going to be asking them questions that are more entailed for you as new agents, as agents that may be coming from somewhere else, that may feel, you know what, I need a spark, I need something, I need to know what I'm missing. They know, okay? They've done it, they've been there, okay? So I want to make sure that you guys hear from them. So I have a few questions that I've already written down that I will be asking them for all their answers. And then later on, we'll open it up to questions that you guys have. So I want to make sure that you guys are interactive with us as well. And if it's okay with you guys, if they can follow up on any questions that I may ask, just raise your hand and that way we can get your question to them, okay? So let me introduce them. This is Dunia Fajardo. Now, for you to know also, before I continue, they are all in 3 different companies, okay? The reason that's important for you to know is because I believe a lot in relationships. This business is all about relationships. If you create a relationship from the very beginning, from the moment you're going to show a property, from the moment you list and then do an open house, then it'll be much easier to get to closing. It'll be much easier if you have a great relationship with a title company, with a mortgage company, with this, and with other agents, okay? So I want you to see, they've always been there for me. Anytime I've needed them, they've always been there for me. And I'm always there for them as well. So Dunia Fajardo, she is with Keller Williams, guys. Amit Bhuta, he's with Compass.
Yeah, Compass.
Okay, I always pronounce it differently, weirdly. And we have Amanda Davenport, and she's with Remax, okay? So just tell us a little bit about when you guys, how long you have been in the business, okay? And let's say what you're looking to do further, okay? Like for example, you got your brokers, what are you looking to do further? So just tell us a little bit about it.
So I've been in the business for about 3.5 years. Most of my business so far has come from my sphere. And the reason I got my broker's license was just because when I would call my sphere, I would tell them, I'm a new agent, do you know anybody, like the whole little routine. They'd be like, oh, you got your license. Somebody else has their license. So I wanted to have something that was a little bit more than the real estate license. Not that that makes a difference. At the end of the day, it's just a doctor on paper. But I just felt like I wanted to have something a little bit beyond the real estate license. And what am I looking to do now is growing outside of my sphere, like not just relying on that circle to send me the leads and to work on them. putting myself out there a little bit more to find my own leads, which it's been a challenge. It's not easy, but I guess that is my goal, like going forward. I have my circle that's sending leads, but at the end of the day, I don't want to always rely on them. I need to at least either be equal or maybe even find more leads on my own than just what my sphere has given me so far.
And I'll touch up a little bit on what you said about the brokers, guys. I did the same thing, okay? I've had my broker's license for about 3 to 4 years. And I didn't open up a company then. The reason I utilized it is for the same reason she's saying. When you go to any appointment, when you do a buyer's consultation and you do a listing presentation, at the end of the day, they want to know how much more studying do you have than the other guy. So it is just knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this. Okay, because with every little thing that you learn, you can then utilize for any listing presentation, any buyer consultation. Okay, so that is a plus. Okay. Amit?
So yeah, my name is Amit Bhuta, hashtag the Indian Realtor, and I've been doing this 15 years, and I wore this shirt on purpose today. It says closer, and I had the wrong mentality going into real estate. I thought that I need to be a closer. And when we have that mentality, it does nothing but harm to us. So one of the things as far as going forward, what I'd like to do is providing content to people that they're interested in and that could help them. And I do my best. We have every week, so there's 3 of us on the team. So it's me, who's been doing this 15 years. Then I have a 23-year-old female named Jade, and then a 24-year-old guy named Will. And every week we're filming 12 hours of content where they're following us and we're creating content. And more than anything, we're in a world where we try and get attention from people, whatever it is, whether it's our spouse, our friends, businesses, whatever it is. And we're doing our best to get as much attention going forward from people that they want to see. And because a lot of times we'll think and we'll see, if I do this video, what other videos am I comparing it to? And it's not that we're just comparing it to videos. We're comparing it to them going out to dinner or watching Netflix or whatever they're doing. And we have to have our content good enough where it's consumer focused, where if it's a buyer, if we want to work with buyers, we pretend we're a buyer and think I'm sure all of us, when we have buyers or if we've bought something, if our offer was accepted, we're excited, but we're like, wow, now what? And if we do a video or a piece, audio or anything, written word, and it's like, my offer just got accepted, now what? And you show a person like this, you're probably gonna have a much better chance of someone seeing your content. So that's basically what I'm trying to do going forward.
And again, just to follow up on that, guys, Instagram is what a lot of people are going to, right? Because it's mostly pictures. But to be honest with you, what I've seen the movement on is towards their new TV, which if you guys have, when you put up a story, okay, then they also have, I believe it's called IGTV. Mm-hmm. When you do IGTV, people are creating literally their own little shows within that because it allows more than just 30 seconds, do you understand? Or more than just 45 seconds. So what he's saying is we're all used to, me myself, I'm used to putting, just closed, or you put a picture of the closing, or you put but what if you were to do just a quick little video that says, just closed now? Okay, that grabs more attention because at the same time, they get to see more of your personality. In a picture, you can't really see personality, right? So the video allows you to do that. So even if it's 15-second video or a 2-minute video, at least it portrays a little more of you. Do you guys get that? Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that with Amit and then Amanda.
I've been in the business exactly 3 years this month. Every year I've done something different. So my first year I partnered with an agent in my office who was a top agent. So I had no idea what I was doing. I have a clue. I can tell you from my first contract and offer I was doing, it took me 5 hours because I had clueless. So I partnered with him and worked as a buyer's agent because he was a listing agent, so I took all his buyers. And from all those buyers, I created a relationship with them where pretty much every person I had, they referred me a friend or a family member. So that was the first year. My second year was literally all those clients I had were referral based from a friend or so on. So that second year was great because I literally was overwhelmed with all that. And then I had friends and family that trusted me more because I do about 25 to 30 transactions a year. They're not big. Most of my sales are up to 250,000 or less. I do more large ones now. This year is completely different. This whole year, all my business has been working with other agents outside of the state of Florida. So I partnered up on the Facebook sites with all these real estate groups and had conversations on the phone, via messenger, just putting myself out there, and literally every single client I have right now is from a different state relocated to Florida. So 100% of my business right now is that. So every year I've done something, tried something different, and next year my goal is to get my broker's license so I can utilize that piece to kind of go back to the beginning of where I started and stick more inside here.
Great. So guys, what I just heard is this. There are many ways to lead generate, right? So what she has decided to do to lead generate is reach out to other agents from the United States or even outside the world, or the country, okay, outside the country, to let them know, hey, I could be your Miami, Florida, South Florida agent, okay? But you create a relationship. It just became the same thing. So she's already got her referral base, which again, if you listen to it, so how do you lead generate? Oh, contact your sphere of influence. Sphere of influence, now let them know through video. Now get back to other people and let them know that I am your one here, okay? So if you have yet to set up your database, if you haven't contacted your sphere of influence, that's what may be keeping you from continuing on, okay? So it's just find a way to create contacts, okay? All right, guys, so we're gonna start with the question part, okay? So just to begin with, we already know how long you guys became. Now, I do wanna know why. What was your why of why you got into the business? What made you say, you know what? I know I've got a full-time job, and as of right now, you guys are all full-timers, right? Okay. Let me know when you became a full-timer, or if you started as a part-timer within the first 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, when you became a full-time. But let me know why you got into this. All right, Judy?
So I was an elementary school teacher for 16 years, and I knew I wanted to make more money, basically. And I had taught for so long, and I knew that in that aspect, I wasn't going to grow much more, and my salary wasn't changing. It was hard because I was at the same school for 22 years, because I used to sub, and I was an aftercare leader at that same building, so I had a lot of relationships with the teachers, the parents, with students. So that's what kind of kept me back for so long, that I wasn't making any moves. I always loved real estate, so that was always in the back of my mind. I felt like a little push that I had to try it, to at least make the intent to get out of the education world. So then I've known Yuri since high school, and I would see his posts from the school, and I contacted him one day and I told him, I want to take the class. And I think the class started like that following week. He sent me the information, I paid for the class, and I was there. Wait, what was the question? What?
No, why?
So my why was, I wanted to grow. I felt like I was already, nothing was changing for me in the classroom. So, and I tried buying a house at one point. I couldn't buy a house, or a property for that matter. So I just didn't see my life changing or growing or anything at that point. So.
And did you start full-time or part-time?
So I started part-time. I finished that school year. I think it was like the last 6 months of the school year. I was doing both, and it was overwhelming because both jobs required a lot of me. So I said, okay, let me take a year leave, and I took the following school year off, and then they gave you 2 years, and then the second year they called me, and at that point I had to say whether or not I was ready to go back or just resign completely from teaching. It was very hard. I went back to my principal and I told her that I was ready to resign, only because I just felt like I didn't want to go backwards and now be back in the classroom and then putting the real estate part-time and not putting as much effort. And I was doing well, somewhat. I mean, at the beginning, that first year was like, and Yuri helped me a lot. Like she said, she partnered up my first sale and my first listing. I did it with Yuri because my whole background was teaching. I had never seen I had never even been able to buy, so I didn't even know you closed at a title company. I would call him and I would ask him all these questions because everything was new to me. And felt like I was learning so much, and I liked where everything was going, and how I can focus on just one thing. So at that point, I figured it wasn't fair to even the school, because they were holding a position for me, and there was somebody there that wanted a full-time job and needed health care and everything that they were able to get from me just saying, okay, I'm gonna let go of this. And I did, and I'm happy where I'm at now.
Like, congratulate her, guys, because she just bought her house.
Yes, and I finally got a house.
So can you imagine that? What I want you to hear from that is 16 years in one position. She loved it. I mean, she has a passion for it. But 3 years in this business, and now she owns a house. You understand that? What that means is, yeah, okay, so she did it part-time, but at a certain point she realized, look, I gotta jump. She made the jump. Okay, at a certain point, you have to make that decision for yourself, because this business, you can skyrocket it to the top, but you have to put some time into it, and you have to do what needs to be done. And now you see that
And I
she's done
remember
it.
right when I asked for the leave, there was like 2 weeks left of school, and I would wake up in the middle of the night sweating with anxiety, and I would tell myself, okay, when I get back to the school, I'll tell the principal to forget it, that was something crazy that I told her to just rip up the paper. And then as I would drive to work, I would talk myself into you're gonna try it out. Like it was a big deal because I left something that was so secure. So secure. I mean, it was a little paycheck, but it was every 2 weeks. I had health care. At that point, it didn't matter. I mean, I had to do something like really crazy for them to fire me because I was in the system, completely in, and I'm doing something that when I would call people, they would tell me, oh, my cousin has a license. They have, so it was hard. And it took a lot of meditating and
So for me, I think when you do real estate, your why changes. In the beginning, most people's why is like, I want to have a flexible schedule. I want to do the stuff that they show on $1 Million Listing, sell all these mansions and do all that. So my why, since they didn't have those shows back then, was just to work less, to be honest with you. But it turned out being more, with this job, you could work 0 hours a day or 24 hours a day. It just depends on how much you like it. I started full time and my why was to work less, and now it's to hopefully help people and do something daily that I enjoy doing. It's like Yuri said earlier, you can do a million different things and be successful in this business, but if you're not doing what you like every day, you might as well quit or do something else, because it's like dieting. You can not eat carbs for a week or two, but if you see that pizza later on, you're probably gonna eat it, So you wanna do something, whether you change your lifestyle or you just do something and know, we all have startups. Every one of us has a startup company, and you have to look at long-term and short-term. And when I started, my why was so different than what it is now, but just do what you really like, even if it takes a long time.
My why, I was a chef for 20 years, worked in the kitchens, never ever watched a real estate show, ever, still haven't to this day. I wanted to have a family and more time home. So quit my job, had a really good job with Capital Grille in New York City and DC because I was a traveling chef. Moved back here to Florida with my now ex-husband, trying to make a family. Went to his school in, I think it was May or June. So I started out full time. I literally quit everything to have a life, so I thought, and got my license, went full time, and then I got divorced instead. So my life completely changed from family mindset and having more time at home to literally having to hustle and get it done. Because now I'm on my own and had to do it. So my why went from one end of an extreme to another in a whole different culture of knowing absolutely nothing about this world, but because of Yuri and all his help in the beginning, and then the people I got in contact with made my life a lot easier. And like her, I just bought my first house with her father, who's my boyfriend now, in December. So after 3 years, I got to buy a house versus working 20 years of 14-hour shifts with no life. I never had enough money to buy a house, and now I do. So.
And one big thing that I always say about Amanda, one time she called me, and I took time to tell her story because I always use it anyways. She called me probably within 4 months, 6 months in the business, and she was kind of like stressed out, overwhelmed, and all this, and almost like to tears. I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? Don't worry, the business is going to be there. She's like, it's not that. It's just I can't handle the business. That was literally what she was telling me. She said that she had so much business that she couldn't handle it. So that's what was her requirement. So now she had to kind of tweak it as to, okay, I need to manage this, manage that, and learn at that end. But guys, what I want you to hear from that, I know I've had some conversations with some of you. If you figure out your why, her why, for example, was, listen, I'm now divorced, now I'm on my own, my bank account is now going what? Down. So if I see my bank account going down, guess what I need to do? Wake up, get up, and do it. And then, like Amit said, if you got to work 24 hours, then you got to work 24 hours. There is no 9 to 5 in this business, but at a certain point, guess what? Those 24 hours will get you a brand new house within 3 years when you haven't had it in so many other years. Do you understand that? So guys, dedicate what needs to be done for this business, and you guys will see how incredible it is. All right, guys, so let's go to the next one. What would you say were your biggest fears? Because as new agents, everybody has a fear, right? Either, oh, I haven't called these people in 30 years, how am I going to call them? Oh, how can I tell them when there's 30 other 1,000 agents, 50,000 agents in Miami-Dade County? How can I tell them I'm another agent? Stuff like that. What was your biggest fear? Let's start with Amanda this time.
Calling people. I still don't like it. I really still don't do it too much because I'm fortunate enough to have the base I do have. So my biggest fear was screwing up the contract, missing a date, having to cold call people for business. That was just like, it still stresses me out even talking to you guys. I get nervous and I just can't do it. So that was my biggest fear. And then how do I get the clients when I know nothing? And how do I make them not know that I don't know anything? So good thing I have a good personality where I can, and I had a lot of good coaching from the agent I work with, and then Yuri as well, of how to fake it till you make it. And that's exactly what we did.
So fear, this is sort of like to the side of fear. When you start real estate, if your friends aren't in real estate, they think you're off every day. They'll call you to go to lunch. They'll call you to do everything. And my biggest mistake, which became a fear, was that I'm not gonna structure my day well enough where I can work, because I wanted to go to lunch, I wanted to hang out with my friends, and just being distracted from what the main goal was. And it's so easy to get distracted. So that fear was always there. And just to let you know, even after 15 years doing this, every few weeks I tell myself I suck. It just, that's how it is. There's always stuff that makes you feel fearful. So that's just part of the business.
So you learned how to time it.
Yeah, to structure my day, to realize that one of the hardest things, and it's mind-boggling, is that we can work for a company 9 to 5, and work harder for them than we can for ourselves. And that's ridiculous. So I had to make that switch in my mind. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, guys. There isn't. I don't know. I think I just posted it on Facebook on one of the forums that I'm in. Somebody had said something like that. I said, "How can you work?" I know what it was. It was about cold calling and setting up time blocking. And they said, "Well, what time do you time block, or when do you make the calls?" Well, if you were to work for a company, I don't know, let's say Bell South, and your job is to get people, and they pay you $12 an hour, and they tell you your job is to make calls from 9 to 5. Would you not do it? Yes. So why wouldn't you do it for your own money, for your own company, not from 9 to 5, but from 8 to 6, from 8 to 7, or go do whatever needs to be done? It's weird, but you guys got to get over that, and you have to just realize this is a business. That's it. Judy?
Well, I guess it's that my fear is stepping out, which is what I'm trying to work on now, outside of my sphere, and calling people. I mean, I think I've only done it a handful of times, cold calls, because the reaction is it's not pleasant from my experience so far. But actually, the way what you said makes so much sense. Again, they would hire me and pay me $12 an hour. It's what I have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet I'm not doing it for myself. But that is a fear because you just don't know what they're going to say or what. A lot of the times they just hang up or they insult you. I mean, I know you can hang up and see them 2 minutes later in the street and they don't know it's you. But it's always that. And my other fear was that it was just so unknown what I was walking into because it was a new world, like she said. It's just brand new contract, dealing with people, showing houses, questions. This is a septic tank, is it a sewer? So.
Now I've heard from all of you guys that your first deal kind of seems like it came from your sphere of influence, right? That's what I hear from all. Now, tell me, what was your first deal? Was it a buyer? Was it a listing? If it was, did you do it all on your own? I know Amanda, she already said she went with someone to do it. I know we kind of teamed up. Amit, you'll let us know. I want to know if you felt you were prepared. Do you felt you were not prepared? And how was that call? Like when you made that call, hey, listen, I just want to introduce myself, and you finally got them as a buyer, how did it happen? Okay, so.
My first deal was a listing, and it was one of my good friends. She was selling her parents' house, which she lived in Hialeah, and she knew that I had my license. At that point, I had it was 2 months.
Okay, but how did she know? Sorry to.
Well, she's one of my good friends, so she.
But did she know through Facebook? Did you call her?
No, conversation.
Okay, from conversation. So just a conversation. That's it.
Yes. And then she would always tell me, whatever I do, you're gonna, like everyone else did. If I ever need something, I'll definitely come to you. If I ever to sell or buy, if I hear anything. And she did. And actually, I'm so grateful for her because that sale, it was a house in Hialeah, and there was so much attention. I remember I posted the listing at right before the school day started. I had everything set, and when I got to the school, I posted it, and my phone would just blow up. And I called Yuri, and I told him, I definitely can't teach and do this. Everyone in Hialeah called because it was, I don't know if it was the house, if it's just that city, but it was crazy. Like it was so intense. And then they sold and they bought a really pretty house in Miramar. So I'm coming out into the real estate world selling a house in Hialeah and a purchase of a pretty. So it was, I guess, also that, like it wasn't like something small. I don't know how to put it. The fact that both sales were nice homes that I was posting. And then right after that, I guess people started feeling a little bit more confident and reach out and make the calls. And I didn't do everything myself. I was every 10 minutes I was calling Yuri.
Guys, but that was a $300,000 listing and a $400,000 purchase or $300,000.
No, the one that they bought.
Yeah.
It was 555.
Five something. So in her first, literally her first studio, she was almost at $1 million. And it was just, oh hey, I'm in the business. That's it. That's it. That's all it takes, guys. Okay?
So mine was a floor call. I was at work at Coldwell Banker. I got a call. This was in 2004, so the market was quite a bit different than it is now. And it was a young couple. And one of the things I do on my Instagram, I write like stories, not stories, but I write different things that remind me of sales. So this sale was for $239,000. It was on 120th and Sunset, so it wasn't too far from here. And we offered the asking price. I knew nothing. I pretended I knew everything, which was wrong. And luckily we were able to close. And it's funny because I posted an Instagram story about my first sale not that long ago, and that same person, and this was bad because back then there wasn't really social. So to connect with people and keep in touch when they move or their email change, it was difficult. But because she saw my social, this same lady called me a few months ago needing help. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
My first one was actually not with the agent I partnered with, and the whole reason why I partnered with him is after I screwed up my first one. It was a lease. As soon as I got my license, my dad was like the biggest advocate of everything. He advertised me all over because he was in sales his whole entire life. So his coworker needed an office space downtown Miami, and he needed an apartment as well. So I started finding him an office space. It was a lease. I get it. Had no idea about HOAs. Not a clue. All I know was the other agent on the other side said, okay, as soon as we get the approval back, they can move in. So I go about my business, get all the paperwork. I didn't know he had to apply. I'm assuming the listing agent, he says when the approval comes back, we can have move in. And I'm like, all right, that's great. So 5 days before, I keep asking, is approval back? Is approval back? He's like, he would always respond, let me know when it comes. I'm like, why does he keep telling me, let me know? I couldn't figure it out. And so 5 days before moving, I called this agent. I said, actually, I'm friends with him now. His name was Carlos. And I'm like, hey, when does approval come back? He goes, what do you mean? Did he not apply yet? I'm like, what do you mean? Does he have to apply? And he's like, oh my God, do you understand? It takes like 3 weeks for approvals. I'm like, oh shit. I couldn't tell this guy that works for my father that he tried to put all the faith in the world into me to get this business, this office space. It's not like a little one. It's like $12,000 a month, and his apartment's $5,000 a month in the same building. So we went to the HOA. Carlos had a good relationship with them and told them the wonderful situation, and they got it. We had to do move-in 5 days late, but my client never knew. I just sent him all the stuff, like, hey, you need to fill this out, we need to get this in right away, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea that HOAs existed. So that's where I screwed up, but we got it done. He still, to this day, has no idea. Probably now he knows.
So you learned as you went, right?
Yeah, every deal I did, I made a mistake and learned from it. Never do that again.
Yeah.
Never do that again.
Now I mentioned that right now is because I know a lot of you are like, oh, I need to do this training and go to that training, and I need to train about this and go to that training. Guys, a lot of times that's a way to kind of hide away from what you got to do to make it a business. And so you're hearing it from here. They really haven't all said, oh, I learned this and I took 10 hours of training and this and that. They literally just got a client and went ahead with it. Then they found somebody to guide them. You understand that? So those are the things that you got to keep in mind. Just get out there, let people know you're in the business, get that contact, and then figure it out. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. Amit and I, we've been in the business 15 years, and I still say I'm learning. Right? You're still learning, right?
Yeah.
And we love that. That's what we love about the business.
I'm hoping to learn a lot today.
There you go. That's exactly right. So, all right, guys. So to follow up on a couple of things, what would you say as a new agent, hearing from other agents or listening to what other people did or trying something, what would you say was your biggest waste of time or even money at the very beginning? Okay, because I know that as a new agent, you go to events and you may hear a new vendor that says, oh my God, you got to do this. And then sometimes we fall for that and we think that it's, that special bean out there that you planted, you're going to grow money, right? So tell us, what do you feel was your biggest waste of time or waste of money as a new agent when you started? Let's start with Amit.
Well, when I started, I had no money, so I couldn't spend any money. So, waste of time, I don't know. I mean, I got some of those lead systems when people call you when they find out you're an agent and trying to get paid whatever a month. All those were a waste of time. All those are a waste of money. I don't even use them anymore. There's one that my broker has that's through our company that I'll use when I have, I don't have 2 closings that month. I'll maybe take one. But other than that, I mean, a lot of those companies that send you the leads, they were really a waste of time. They were dead. And going to those events, half the events I went to were just like, seriously, why am I here? and that's about it.
Perfect. Thank you, Lon.
Biggest waste of money. Every day you get pitched something, every single day. And the biggest waste of time or money was doing things with someone else's personality and trying to make it fit yours. Like, for example, I would do expired calls. Expired calls are awesome if you do them the right way. Instead of calling someone and saying, I'm calling to see when you're gonna interview the next agent to sell your home, to me that was a waste of time. But if I call someone and say, hey, this is Amit, I know you're probably getting a lot of calls, people telling you they wanna list their house and that you're priced too high. I'm not making that, that's not why I'm calling. And then they're like, oh, why are you calling? I'm like, well, when I saw your property, there were 2 reasons why I thought it didn't sell. If you want, I can tell you what they are. And shut up. So the thing that was wasting time the most for me was doing things and looking for that secret sauce and trying to do things that were successful for other people that didn't have my personality and figuring out how it worked for me.
Now, you guys, some of you are brand new, you guys are starting scripts and stuff like that. Understand what he just said, okay? He saw the script, but after trying it, he noticed, like, let me make it my own. He realized it. Now, again, you're listening to somebody that's been in the business 15 years. Now, sometimes you guys as new, you have to go through that. You have to go through understanding, you know what, maybe this one's not working, let me try something else. But if you look and search for all the scripts, most of the scripts say exactly what I'm trying to begin with, but then he made it his own. But get to making the calls. That's the reality, because he didn't say that was a waste of time to make the calls. He just said that way may have been a waste of time to make the calls. You guys understand the difference? Okay?
I've signed up for a few of those lead generation websites also, and again, I haven't gotten anything from them. And I did another one that they would, it was something that you would add on to your for sale sign, and then they would incorporate like a number that people can text, and they would send it. Like, it didn't work either. And that was sort of like a membership. So I had to wait for it to expire because I signed up. It sounded great, but at the end, people don't.
So
They just call. They look at the phone number. They don't send a text to a tiny little, extremely long number too. And when I saw it, I'm like, who's gonna text?
That's exactly. So you generated money from your own people, not from the people that you were paying for.
No.
There, she could have probably spent that money better at selling somebody, hey, meet me for coffee,
Right.
and bought them a coffee. You understand that? $5 one person, $5 another person, $5. She could have spent $100 a month, where she was probably spending $300 a month with a lead generating company. Guys, those are the things that you've got to listen to. That's why I brought them, so you can really hear to reality. Okay, sometimes you'll go to panelist events, which I've been to many. I know they've been to a bunch, and it really becomes all about their resume and this and that, and how much money they're spending now. That's not what really matters to new agents. What matters is how they made it at the very beginning and what they did. You understand that? They're incredibly successful, but you all want to hear how they began. Do you understand that? So that's why we're kind of doing this. And again, I thank you guys for that. All right, so do you do buyer consultations? If you work buyers, do you do buyer consultations, or do you just go show a million properties? Amit, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think the thing that's most important in life are expectations. Whether it's a family member, friend, whatever. if you set expectations, you're gonna do a lot better. So like when I do a buyer consultation, and when I meet them, I tell them this is gonna be a roller coaster ride. There are gonna be days that you don't wanna do this. There are gonna be days you wanna buy a house. There are gonna be days that you don't wanna buy a house. There are gonna be days that you're mad at me and I did nothing, but it's okay. You know, it's an emotional process. I tell them there are gonna be days we schedule an appointment for an hour, 2 hours. You drive, you take your time off work. We go to the property and the key is missing. You know, setting the expectations up front helps a lot. And just as honest as I can be, in my 15 years, I've only had 3 deals that were smooth from beginning to end. So there's gonna be something difficult, but if we have the expectations that it's gonna be difficult, and we let the person know, hey, there are gonna be times that it's not gonna be so smooth. And I'll tell a customer that they'll be like, oh, I feel so good that this happened, the appraisal or whatever. I'll be like, there are gonna be a couple more speed bumps before we finish. Just those expectations. So yeah, thing is definitely important.
Now I try to set the expectation. I meet with them ahead of time to go over what their needs are. My meetings are a little different now since I don't live in Miami. I live 2.5 hours north, but I do work here as well. And most of my clients now, like I said, are not in Florida. So most of mine are on video chat. So they do see me, I do see them. A lot of mine have not bought houses in 15, 20 years, so the experience is completely different. Like the closing I have tomorrow, I haven't bought in forever, but I had to set the expectation for 2 months over video chat before they got here and know what their needs were. So when I met them here, I already knew where they needed to be. And then that all changed when they got here, because where they thought they wanted to be was really not where they wanted to be. So, I mean, everything changes, but I do try and meet them because it is a waste of time if you just go out and they're not pre-qualified, because I did that in the beginning. I went and met everybody. I didn't care. I just went. And a lot of them did not ever end up qualifying, so I wasted hours and hours and days of my time. But that time I lived in Miami, so it didn't matter. Now I do things completely differently. I'm not wasting my time, so.
So, I guess I really don't have anything 100% established. I do it 3 different ways, if that makes any sense. If it's a call from a friend that wants to buy, the first thing I tell them is that they need to get approved, so that we don't waste any time. I mean, not like that, obviously, but with a little more conversation. And then if it's someone that I have never met and they come to me already approved, I meet them at the first property, and there I do my buyer's consultation at the first house we see, or condo, whatever it is, or which is what happens most of the time with my deals. It's a seller that's also buying. So I already have the relationship with them through the sale, and then at that point we're already talking about the purchase and what's going to happen, and they're getting approved. So I rarely get actually I have one that I'm working with now that I still don't even know how they got my phone number. I know it was from the for sale sign of one of my listings, and I've spoken to her mom. I probably talked to her mom once or twice a year, and she called me like a month and a half ago, the daughter, that she was working with another realtor, but every time she would get to a house, the realtor would discourage her from making an offer. And she's like, I'm done with her. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can leave you one to somebody else without calling me, because I would talk to her mom here and there, and the same thing with her. And she kind of like, whatever, she's like, but she explained to me that she had met her at an open house. Anyway, she stopped working with them, and now I have them under contract. But with them, since they were already working with another realtor, and I never met her at that point, I just wanted to be face to face with them. And I figured they're already seeing houses, they're already and I didn't want her to call the other realtor anymore. So we set up the first appointment, and at that point, I made sure that she had either told the other realtor that she wasn't working with them in some way or the other, or that's it, that which she explained to me that, yeah, you know, I actually was even asking her for gas money.
Wow.
Like it was crazy. The stories that she told me from
crazy.
the other side, I'm like, okay. But,
So you guys see, it is necessary. Now she does it at the first house that she goes and sees, but I'm sure if they got a lot of information that day and then went to the second house. So, but they all do it, so it is necessary that you guys do it. All right, so now, going away from buyer consultations, listings. Do you guys do pre-listing packages, or do you do the listing at the listing consultation or listing presentation? Do you do the presentation there? Now I know if it's your friend, it might be more normal. Let's put aside the ones that are not friends, the ones that are just people that you just met for the first time. Do you send a pre-listing package, deliver it, or do you do it at that moment?
yeah, no, I don't send the pre-listing. I do have a folder, like kind of like it helps me keep the order of how the listing appointment is going to flow. So I go through that. I talk about the photography. We talk about, I guess what everybody knows. But I do the listing appointment. I don't send
And
out.
how long is your presentation, would you say?
About 30 minutes.
About 30 minutes, okay.
I mean, it all depends. Sometimes it runs more. But
So I have all of my stuff on my website. So I don't know if you guys know what retargeting is. It's like if you go on Amazon and you don't buy something and you'll see ads follow you, or the shoes, or the whatever, the jeans. So I do that on my website. So say Yuri calls me and he says, I'm gonna interview 2 other agents besides you. I'm gonna meet you next week. I tell him this. I say, great. Is it okay if we make our appointment short? And they're gonna be like, yeah, of course. They don't want to spend the whole time with me. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna send you a couple links, and I need for you to promise me that you're gonna click on these links. And so I send them a link of like what I do to sell homes, and then some testimonials. I just want them to click on the link. Once they click on the link, and I tell them, if you don't do this, I'll know when we meet, and it's gonna take an hour instead of 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then they're gonna click, and then when you send the email, you can see that they clicked. And so during that time, before I meet them for that whole week, they're seeing my ads. They're not seeing my competitors' ads. So I have a much better chance of selling them and getting the listing.
And you know the funny thing is that I called on it. This was what, 4 years ago or something like that, when he first began your targeting. Because all of a sudden I called him, I'm like, bro, I can't stop seeing you. Why are you on my phone? Get out of my phone and all this. And then he starts cracking up. And it was the retargeting. So I had heard about it through Amit. I really had not heard about it. Because after a while I stopped going through like panel events and stuff like that, vendor events and stuff like that. But I noticed exactly, and you guys hear it now, because all of you say, I think Alexa's listening to me, I think Alexa's listening to me. That is retargeting, guys. So what he's doing is, and it's working perfectly, instead of saying, hey, listen, I'll do the presentation there, just click on this. The moment he clicks on it, now I start seeing your number. Now I can tell you, this is not cheap, guys. Correct, Amit?
It's not that much. I mean, you can spend $100 or $500. It just depends on what you want. But the main thing, Yuri, is those ads have to be consumer focused. It can't be like, hey, my name is John Smith. I have a great website and go to it. This is what. So I do ads that are consumer focused, like top restaurants to eat, top Thai restaurants in Miami, how burglars broke into homes, maybe a testimonial from a seller or buyer from me. So it has to be a mix of different things. It's not expensive, but you have to do it the right way, because there's something called ad fatigue. So if you do it the wrong way and say how great you are, just like before I explained my closer shirt, if you just saw me with the shirt closer, you're gonna have an opinion of me that's probably not good, but if I explain it, it'll probably be better. So if you do it the wrong way, with that ad fatigue, everyone's gonna know who you are, but they're not gonna wanna do business with you.
And for you guys to know one other thing, closer, that comes from Curate, right?
Yeah.
You guys know, some of you have gotten this book, it's the Chris Smith book. That's the one that's up there. Chris Smith is the owner of Curate. So he has partnered up with Curator as a company that helps him through the marketing and helps him and grow his business. Okay? But that is one of the books that's up there, guys. I've known Chris for a long time. We've known Chris for a long time. So he's a great guy. Amen?
I don't have a website, which I do need to get eventually. But I do basically what she does. I get a package together for their specific property. 90% of the time, I never even get to give it to them because they usually call me like, hey, I want to go see this house. And normally I don't want to show them a house because they're selling it because they want to buy. But I always take them out anyway just so I can meet them in person. And then they're like, hey, why don't we just come to my house so you can look at it so we can list it? I'm like, all right, I don't even have anything with me. So that's how most of mine end up. But I do have something prepared for them before I go. I don't deliver it or mail it beforehand.
All right. Now, Amit, how much now? Everybody has a different price point. Okay, so Amit's price point may change a little bit to everybody else's. Okay, but how much would you say you spend money-wise on a listing? Okay, from the moment you list that property, how much would you say you spend in marketing that way?
So I think one of the biggest mistakes agents do is they look at the return on investment on each listing rather than it's your business. So there's some deals that I lose money on. I mean, it depends. Like this year I had a celebrity. He had a rental property. It was in Miami Beach. It was a short-term rental I was doing. And it was like $3,000 a month, and it was like a 6-term contract. So as an agent, we're making like next to nothing on that, you know? But I spent like $2,000 on that because I knew that the return on investment on my relationship with that person would overcome that. So typically on every listing I have, so just to give you a background of what I sell, 80% is luxury and 20% is just regular stuff. My average price is probably like $1 million and change. And with a regular property, whatever it is, even if it's a $300,000 property, I'm gonna do a drone video, I'm gonna do a 3D tour, I'm gonna do professional photography, I'm gonna spend at least $1,500 to $2,000 on that property. Because at the end of the day, it's like seeing Cartier, right? Or Tiffany, or a very, very high-end brand. If we see them do crap, like a piece that they have, whether it's a handbag or whatever, and it looks like garbage, it tarnishes the whole brand. We're branding ourselves. So don't be cheap on stuff. Don't use your iPhone. Pay the money to do it, because you could, you know, it's like a reputation. Once you can build it up, but it only takes one thing to drop it. So spend the money.
Perfect. Great explanation.
My price point, I guess, is between $350 to $400. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. I don't spend that much money. But I do have a professional photographer that does the drone, that does interior, exterior, and then depending on the listing, we do the walking tours. But I usually spend between $250 to $500 on my list.
I'm around where she's at. I think the max I've spent was probably $1,000 because I had to hire a property. But most of my properties are smaller, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's a rental, I had a rental for $900. I still had professional photos done.
Perfect.
It rented in obviously that day, but I still did it. So I lost money on that. I spent more money than I made because I split that with another agent too on a $900 rental. But I'll do the same no matter what. If it's a $1 million house or $900 a month.
Perfect. And that goes into what Amit said, guys. If you are putting out there that you're going to be a professional and your business is going to run this way professionally, then why all of a sudden you're going to go do a mobile video? Why all of a sudden you're going to do phone pictures for a property? It doesn't matter if it's a rental. You should spend the money for a professional. Why? Because from that rental, Amit now was a celebrity. That celebrity can now tell this other celebrity, that other celebrity. He's going to make up that $300, $500, $1,000 spending that he made on multiple referrals. Okay, that's the mentality that you guys gotta have. So don't ever think that I need to go cheap to do this. Okay, just be a different professional. Be the better professional. Okay. Now, based on that, what would you say? Like, we normally go on listing presentations, and there's normally another agent, or they're meeting 2 other agents, 3 other agents. Without giving a secret away, I mean, back in the days, I know that it used to be thought, oh my God, I'm not giving my secret away. But with social media nowadays, you kind of find everybody's secret, right? So don't reveal whatever you want to reveal, but tell me, what would you say separates you from the other agents? And I'll tell you why I'm asking. So one time I went to a panelist event, and in the panelist event there was 3 teams, right? Because now all of a sudden everybody has a team, right? And one person asked, that person was I, and I said, okay, so the same question. If there's 3 other people on there, how do I beat you if I'm one of them? You understand? That was just a normal question, just tell me the truth. The answer from those people was, you can't. That's not true, guys, because I have beaten teams. You understand that? You just have to have that positive attitude, and you've got to be better than them or set yourself apart somewhere or not, okay? Because if not, there wouldn't be 50,000 agents and every other house having a different agent. You understand? Then it would just be one agent, okay? So please tell us, how would you say you separate yourself from the other people that are meeting that day, okay? Go ahead, let's start with Matt.
Well, I don't do a lot of listings. If you haven't noticed, I'm more of a buyer's agent than a listing agent. So I don't have a speech when I go in. I just get more personal with them and see what their why is. Why are they selling? What is going on? So I don't have that uncomfortable speech already prepped and set out. I just kind of go with it and get a feel for them personally, and I'm more personal because I'm uncomfortable with a speech. I didn't even use a speech when I cold call. So it makes it, that's how I've gotten every listing, is I'm different. I don't have that piece.
Now, you know what? That's great. I'll tell you why. Because that is so true. I have gone in with other agents, listened to our agents, gone to different presentations, and you have the agent that is more on the data and the numbers and this and that, and let me show you. Or you have that person that's just like, you know, I understand why you need to sell. I know you need to sell. I'm with you. I've been there. So, and that person tends to make a better connection than the one that's just, do you understand that? So, and she's completely right. That's why they work for you, okay?
So 2 things. The first thing is what you said. And when I meet someone, if I'm going on a listing appointment, the first thing I tell them is, you know, I know your neighborhood well, and I sell a lot of homes here, and I have quite a few buyers. But even though that's the case, I've driven by your house 3 times before we met. I drove by in the morning one day, I drove by in the afternoon, and I drove by in the evening another day. And I realized what I knew already. You have a beautiful house. Why do you want to move? And I shut up and I see what they say. And then based on what they say, I could go in the direction that I want. As far as my secrets for what I do a podcast also. So it's in there, it's amitspodcast.com. And I have 5 reasons why. So.
And you do, of course, a lot of videos.
I do a lot of
videos are big, and you do great videos. He does movies for his homes, of course, the more luxurious homes. He does movies, not just, oh, let me go through this room and that room. No, he does a real movie, directed type of movie. Right? So that's a big separation from everybody else. Right.
So since most of my listings come from my sphere, most of the calls that I get is, oh, my friend's gonna call you to list her house. So I don't think they interview other realtors. I did go to one appointment where at the end I thought I had the listing, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna interview a couple more realtors. So they did end up calling me back, and if they did interview other realtors, I think the reason they went with me was just because, I don't know, I sat there and I was honest. I showed them, not only did I say I do professional pictures, I showed them a few of my listings and the pictures, and I always tell them that they have the freedom to call any of my past clients too. Like I kind of say that, like for a referral. They never have, but that's again, since most of them are from my sphere, I don't think I've had that situation except that one. That's the only one I can remember. That I thought it was done, and then at the end they're like, okay, we'll let you know because we're interviewing more. So at that moment I was like, okay.
Perfect. So I'll give them a break after this next call. All right. After this next question. Sorry. See you. All right. So here we go. When you first started, did you need a new car? Did you need a luxury car? Did you have to get a new car in order to get to where you're at now? Yes or no, Amit?
Did I need to? I
You
mean,
say it's necessary, as in
is it necessary? No, but if it's a luxury listing, if your car isn't like nice or decent, get an Uber there. You know, just tell them, hey, my car is, or whatever. Make an excuse. You don't need a new car.
No, I didn't. I had a huge pickup truck, a Nissan Titan, you know, go big or go home. So I didn't get a new one. When that got totaled was the only reason I got another one. But I didn't get a truck this time, so yes. But my clients actually said they felt more comfortable with me because I seem more real, because I didn't have a fancy car.
Okay, there you go, Julia.
No, I mean, I've always leased, and my whole thing was just the miles, but I don't think a car, I mean, they may look outside to see what car you're driving, but, I mean, I guess it wasn't a hideous car either, but.
Now, it's a funny question why I ask, because I have the school, right? So I always ask why you guys got into business. And I always get some students that say, hey, listen, do I really need a car? Because my friend handle right now agents that are not answering the phone to you guys. You know, that's one main complaint, right? Agents don't answer the phone, agents don't answer the phone. What do you do with those showings? What do you do with those clients? Okay, so go ahead.
Like ones that you're working under contract with that don't answer the
No,
phone?
like let's say, because you always answer the phone, don't you?
Yeah, I answer all the
Okay.
time.
So what about when you're calling an agent that doesn't answer the phone? Do you just go to the next one? Do you contact a broker? What do you do?
If it's for showings, I text them, email them, call them, and just till I get a response. Normally, eventually they respond. If not, and as a co-listing agent, I always call them. If they don't answer, I do call the brokerage.
Okay, good. So you do follow up with them. Amit?
So what I do, I think the main thing is expectations again. So I'm gonna tell during the buyer consultation that there are gonna be some agents that I call. I tell them one of the hardest things about my job is counting on someone else and calling. There are gonna be times where you see a property, you're in love with it, and you can't even go to sleep because you're thinking about it. And then you ask me like, hey, I wanna see it tomorrow. And I keep calling and I call, I text, I do a voicemail, call the broker, I do everything, and we can't see it. So setting up those expectations is important.
Okay, perfect. Do you?
Yeah, I do the same thing, call, text, email. Depending on how bad the buyers want to see it, I'll contact the broker.
Now the reason I ask that is more for the follow-up. Don't you realize then that once an agent does answer the phone, answer the text and all that, you're dealing with a more professional agent?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what sets you apart from everyone else, right? So that's very important, okay? So I wanted to make sure to get that out there. Now, let's say right now, with all the knowledge you guys have now, and you went back in time to when you were a brand new agent, and you had $2,000, that's the most you had, what would you say you would put that $2,000 towards having the knowledge you now have?
Skip me, because I don't know.
You're not sure. All right, so let's go on.
So I would team up with the videographer. I'd say, hey, I got $2,000. I want to give you another 20 or 50 in the future, but I'm new, and we need to create some awesome content where we're gonna make more money, so I can continue to give you money. It's like with Derek. Derek and John are videographers, and we've started filming from February to the end of the year. And our goal is to do it every year. But so having someone who has the same goal as you to create content that's consumer focused. You have to look at your business as long term and not short term, because anyone could pay for Zillow leads. And so I'm sorry, I want to go back to one of your questions. You said the biggest waste of money. I used to spend $6,000 a month on Zillow, and I broke even barely, and it was subsidized by something else, so I didn't really have to spend it, but that was a huge waste of money for me. I know for some people it works really well, but yeah, so if I was gonna spend the money, I was actually asked that question before in a podcast. I wouldn't even spend the $2,000. I would find someone, an agent that I thought was collaborative. I'm not talking about me, but just someone that's collaborative, that you see what's doing what you want to do. And that agent has probably been asked 1 million times for help. And I would just go up to that person and tell them that, you know, I've been watching you, everything you've done professionally, and I've been very impressed with what you do. And my wife and I would like to take you out to dinner and show you some appreciation and take them to a very nice place. Spend $500 out of that $2,000 and spend it where that person really feels like you connected with them, and just show appreciation. Because if you do that, you're gonna get it back a million times over.
Guys, that's how Amit gets his dinners, just so you know. Dunya?
It's kind of hard to answer. Maybe create like a generic flyer and go around the neighborhood. I did that, and I still have some of them. When I was door knocking, which kind of meaning to doing that again. But I did one flyer that was generic, and then I would put it together with something from that neighborhood. I didn't want to walk into or stand in front of them at the door with obviously just the generic flyer by myself, but I wanted something that at least brought some value to them, and whatever like the comps were for the neighborhood, the last sales, maybe something like that. And it won't cost you $2,000.
At the very beginning, I remember Dunya would send me the picture, and it was like July 4th or something like that, and she put little flags in a bag with the market updates, and added some candy, added this, added some stuff, and that's where she went. Okay, so you gotta be creative, you gotta be different than everybody else. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can put your money towards, okay, but you have to do it. Because at the end of the day, money does make money. Right? Now, do you spend it correctly or do you spend it not? That's the whole mentality. Okay? So, you kind of already hit up on this. You know, all of you kind of hit up, do you buy your leads? Do you receive your leads from stuff like that? So, I don't want to go back to that, but right now, do you guys still receive coaching in some way or another? Do you guys still have a mentor somewhere or another? Or are you now just on your own 100%? Amit?
So yeah, I mean, I get, as Yuri said, this company that did the shirt does marketing coaching for me. I pay a lot of money, you know, for coaching. I spend more money on coaching every year than some agents make in a year, because even after 15 years, I need to get better each day. And I think what's important in real estate, because a lot of times we feel lonely because our jobs are tough and we have ups and downs and roller coaster rides and stuff. It's very, very important to have people that we can just have as cheerleaders, people that we want to cheer on. So I'm in a few different groups that these are friends from all over the country that I speak to daily. And these are the people that I want to be, you know, or people that want to be me or whatever. There are not that many of those, but yeah, it's having that camaraderie with people and having those people, because we're all going to have a terrible day. We're all going to have days where we suck and we want to do something else, and you know, there's no money. But look at your job as long term and have those people and try and get the coaching, in my opinion.
I used to go every Tuesday. We have group coaching at the brokerage I'm at. So I would make a point to not schedule any appointments or anything during that time block. And I went every Tuesday up until I moved to where I live now. So now that I don't go there, I use the social media groups, all the real estate ones where all the agents are in. And there's a lot of good information. So it kind of keeps me up to date and more motivated, because it's a little difficult now with my office being here and me over there, to stay focused and get the coaching that I don't have face-to-face anymore there.
For me, I don't have a coach, but it's not something that I'm against. I think like you said, like you need them because they push you and they help you go to the next level. And so no, I don't have a coach right now, but it's something that I would consider.
Now, would you say in this business, a lot of us get into the business because you say, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to wake up when I want to do this, I want to do it. But one of the reasons you hire a coach is really so they stay on top of you. So they tell you, hey, listen, what time did you get up? Did you get up at 4? Did you get up at 5? Or does that bother you, or is that the push that you guys need? Do you need that one person that tells you, hey, did you go door knock? Hey, did you go do this? Hey, have you made your calls? Have you posted? Have you done that? Does it bother you, or do you feel it's necessary at a point in this career? Okay, Amit?
So my coaching is different. It's like marketing coaching, and so it's stuff I'm excited. My favorite show is watching my coaching session in the week. And so I think if you look at your business as a startup business, as it's your business and it's long term and it's not what you're making on particular deals, it excites you. I mean, this may sound crazy, but I'll wake up many times in a month, 3, 4 in the morning, and I grab my phone, and my wife will look at me because she doesn't do real estate, like, what's up with this guy? And I'm writing down ideas, and I can't wait till the morning to start working, which sounds crazy, but if you look at it as doing something, if you figure out what you really like to do and how to get business, and you do that, you don't need anyone to be on top of you. I was on a cruise with my wife for 10 days, and I couldn't wait to get, I love her, and I spent, you know, we have a great time together, but I couldn't wait till I got back so I could work. And I was on a cruise. I was doing something people save their whole lives to do, you know? So if you feel it, you don't need it, but some people do.
And some of you have taken my class, and you guys know it. I tell you all the time, I don't sleep, and it's the same mentality. I go to sleep at 1. At 4, I wake up. Today I woke up at 4:30, already thinking about this and doing that. And once you get this passion in this business, once you realize, wow, it's my business, I'm doing this, I will make it successful, you guys are going to start not sleeping anymore. Say goodbye to sleep, because it will become that passion. And you guys will come up with so many things. Should I try this? Should I try that? Should I look this up and stuff like that? You got to get to that point, and you got to kind of self-motivate, okay?
Well, the idea of having someone push you, it's not a bad thing either, because they're motivating you to do. I'm sure they don't do it like in a way that they bring you down. They push you, but at the same time help you go forward, because there's always that in the back of your brain. You always have that. Oh, you had a great month last month, but maybe this month is not going to be the same. And 6 months down the line, you may have no business. So having someone, a coach, that's going to push you to do more in a positive way, I see that as a good thing.
Yeah, mine, I never had anybody really pushing me. Those coaching groups with my office, it was more accountability and setting your goal for the week to keep you motivated, because it was real easy in the beginning to not be motivated and go do other things. And then this business became addictive, like it's literally addictive, where last weekend we were supposed to go to a farm and play with animals. Instead, I had business come up, and so I changed plans for my weekend and decided to go to work, because it is very addictive. And I love it, and that's just...
Now, at the same time, you got to dedicate time for yourself,
you
right?
This was
and I had that conversation with Amanda before. Yeah, I mean, she, you know, everybody has different characters, right? Everybody's different. So, but I have we've had that conversation where I said, you got to dedicate time for yourself. So, because that is what's going to make you feel great when you kill yourself at a certain type of career, right? Like Amit said, I love it, but I still needed those 10 days. But then within those 10 days, you want to get back to it.
Right.
That's really the passion of the business, okay? So it's great. All right, guys, so let's take about 15 minutes or so, or, you know, if you guys have any additional questions, whatever time you guys want to ask questions. So, go ahead. Who's first? Eric.
Is there ever a time where, like, your database runs dry, or it stops, like the level of referrals is not matching with, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if that does happen, how do you do?
That's actually like happening to me now. Like I'm starting to feel like my circle isn't sending me as much as they were before. So that's why I'm leaning now, like I was mentioning, to maybe going back out there and door knocking, maybe making calls if I like decide to. But yeah, right now I'm brainstorming. I'm doing a lot of brainstorming and trying to figure out what the next step is. And back when, like last year that I got a lot of referrals, I was always worried about, okay, what happens when this slows down? So I didn't focus on, I focused on one thing and I didn't prepare for the next, which now I'm starting to feel it. And I'm like, okay, now that it's happening, I need to get on my feet and run.
Yeah, and that is a mistake that all agents make, especially starting, right? You have that one buyer, and you're like, oh my God, I need to dedicate all the time to this one buyer. Don't stop showing up to classes, stop showing up to this. Don't call new people, don't go door knocking anymore because you want this buyer. But once that $5,000 comes in, now what? Right? Because our deals take 30 days, 45 days, whatever it is. So if you don't have anything else set up, that's it. So it can never stop. You have to continue. Because then at a certain point, you're going to be like, oh, wait, it's drying up. And now you got to change the mentality again.
So for me, and you know, with as you've seen, business works differently for all of us. And for me, I always have the mentality that I'm not getting business in the future. You always have to have that mentality, whether you're doing well or you're not. And I tell people, the two on my team and myself, when it's a few times a week, we need to create content, or even daily. Pretend you're a consumer and you're doing whatever you're doing online or whatever, and say you're from out of town or you're in town. What would be places that people love in Miami Beach? I was telling the guy on my team, Will, the other day. He's like, "What content should I do?" You know, and I told him, pretend you have a great friend that doesn't live here. He's gonna come here for 2 weeks, and he's like, I just want to kill it in Miami Beach. I want to go everywhere. I said, do content on what you would do for that dream 2 weeks. And by doing this content and putting it out there, don't do it all and then just put it out there. Break it up into small pieces and do it consistently. People are gonna know what you do. You're gonna be the fun person that they want to hang out. Our goal as a team is to be 3 people that look like they'd be fun to hang out and also maybe buy a $15 million home from, you know? So have that type of mentality and don't worry about running dry and stuff. It's always gonna be the case. Never feel bad about that. Just think what you can do to go forward and create the content, because the thing in real estate, a lot of times we can do nothing or we can do something. When we do nothing, we feel like crap. But even if we don't have business and we're creating content, we feel good. We feel like we're working, and a lot of times good things happen after that.
Yeah, it's kind of bouncing off both of them. When I start not having that base, I have a lead system I do use. I don't pay for it up front. It's paid out of a closing, a percentage of it that gets taken out. So I usually don't use it, but when I start feeling, okay, I don't have anything coming up, I start taking everything. Every single one of those leads, a lot of them are dry, but some of them turn up. Some of them are rentals. I start focusing with other agents. Hey, can I advertise this? Can I advertise this? And I just partner with them. And I always end up with something. When I moved, I started Ubering so I could find my way around the neighborhood and know exactly what I was talking about when I moved to that location. And I ended up getting about 3 different buyers out of that.
Right. Perfect. So preparation, right? She's prepared in advance. This question is more for Amit only, just because Amit's the one that's doing a lot more video content and stuff like that. So have you run into any troubles? Because I have seen your videos. You go to Midtown, you go to South Beach, have you run into any troubles from the cities? Like, do they ever see you filming and they're like, hey, listen, where's your license and stuff like that?
Yeah, Derek got kicked out of Merrick Park, so we asked for forgiveness, you know, and a lot of times they don't. If you do it quickly, if you have a game plan, it'll be okay. And if you really want to film something, and use your phone, you know, use something. It's a lot of people make the mistake of wanting to do it perfect. I guarantee you, if you haven't done it, it's gonna suck in the beginning. It's gonna be terrible, and for me, for sure. And I still am not good, but the more you do it, people will see your journey, and it's nice when they say, "Hey, look at this first video you did. It sucked," and then you laugh, and then you improve. So, more than having the good quality, just do it consistently. pretend you're a consumer. What would you want to watch? Not that no one wants to see why Amit is a great agent. Who cares? It would be like, hey, Amit's at the Aston Martin residences and he's in front of a $2.5 million car. That's sort of cool, you know? And so always do it. Forget about like how good it is and just do it.
Yeah, I remember my first video ever. It was so much echo, so much wind, so much everything that people were like, man, that video sucked. But they still listened to the video. It was about inspections or something like that. I forgot what it was. So it still provided information, right? And then it got better and better and better. And like he's saying, like he has Derek, so Derek normally follows him with like the whole gear and all that. But can you go with a selfie stick? Can you go with, you know, one of those handheld gimbals and then do it? Maybe you might not get caught on that because they think, oh, you're just a family or whatever. And so don't ever think that you need, you know, a Derek. Of course, Derek would make more money.
Can I add one thing to that? It's just like you were saying, you did well because someone could relate to you because your truck or whatever. We're never going to be all things to everyone. You're always going to relate to a different person depending on what you do. When I use my iPhone instead of Derek being there, I'm relating to someone else. So never worry about that. And I think that was great what you said about the truck and stuff and just relating to that because that's really important.
Another question?
How did you get to grow your social media to 64,000 followers? I mean, was it over a spectrum of a period of time, or was there a goal?
Yeah, so there are different ways to do it, right? One is having content that people like, that you think. If you see my Instagram, I feel like I'm promoting myself, but I'm going to. It's hashtag the Indian Realtor. And when you see, if you see my things that I do on Instagram, it's different than what most people do. I write a story. I spend an hour, 2 hours thinking of a post that I'm gonna write. You know, I spend the time. But so you reach out to influencers as well. And like, so one of the things that I did that helped a lot is I was like, let me write some blogs on top 5 or top 7. So one of them I did was top 5 foodies in Miami, stuff that people would be interested in reading. After I took time to figure out the top 5 foodies. After I did that, I wrote the article and then I DM'd these people. And I made sure that they had good followings, right? And then so I DM'd this guy, his name, he has over 400,000 followers. So I looked for people like that. And then I DM'd him and I said, hey, I spent the last 2 weeks finding out the best foodies in Miami and you were one of them and I just wanted to congratulate you. And if you're interested, here's a link to the article. And I just left it like that. And then the guy, all of a sudden, he's talking to me back and forth. Then he's doing an Instagram story on me. So it's basically the Kardashian method, just they're promoting a lot of other people. So you have to align with other people. And sometimes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I pay people money to do contests where they follow me, you know, and that's just how it is. That's part of business. So aligning with the right people to grow your business. And the only thing I can tell you though is when you do it that way, and this is, I've learned from this, when you pay influencers to have contests to promote your Instagram, you're gonna lose followers a lot. So I may have 64,000 today, but maybe next week I have 60, or maybe I have 70. It just varies. Just as long as you know that, it's right, exactly.
And to follow up on that question, what would you guys say, all 3 of you, is your top 2 social medias that you guys utilize in your business?
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram. That's it.
Whatever
Now,
I post.
do you do stories as
I
well, or
don't
just the
stories,
feeds?
and I don't even open them. I don't know why. I guess that maybe I should start getting into that, but I don't. Like, I see that people do it, and I just keep scrolling.
Okay. Amit?
So I think like with social, so for now probably Instagram and Facebook, but with that said, you have to be very careful about these social platforms because it wasn't too long ago where one day Instagram and Facebook was closed. You couldn't get on. They had some issues. So don't put all your eggs in one or two baskets. The biggest thing that I'm concentrating on now is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so the way I'm not going to make it too long, but the way the social platforms work, because I've spent like over 30,000 learning this, and one of the things these platforms, they're basically, there's something called an organic reach when you post and the people that you know will get it, and then there's paid reach, obviously when you pay. So with these platforms, for them to get big, Facebook did it first, Instagram, whatever you post, their organic reach is really high in the beginning. Then once the platform gets a little bit bigger, then they start lowering that organic reach. And then it's called pay to play. You pay, and then your reach will go further. So Facebook was really good at that. Then they stopped. Then it's Instagram. Instagram is pretty good, but it's getting more expensive. Your organic reach is getting smaller and smaller. LinkedIn right now, because in the past, LinkedIn, you couldn't really post or like or love comments. And so within the last year, I've grown my Instagram from barely nothing to over 12,000. And it's easy. I'm not saying that to brag or anything. Any of you can do that. But when you post something on LinkedIn, organically, the reach is much higher because LinkedIn wants to compete with these other platforms. And the content that you provide, has to be a little bit different. You can figure it out based on looking at LinkedIn and people that you like or want to be. But that is a huge, huge opportunity, LinkedIn. Because always pretend like, if my best platform is closed today, then what? Am I out of business, or do I have something else to follow up on?
Mine was Facebook and LinkedIn. I don't really use Instagram that much, which I'm going to start. I don't use a lot of either one of those for my business. After listening to him, I need to start doing that.
All right, perfect. Wait, no, before Carolina.
Yeah. It's a question, but it's also, they're so relatable in so many different ways. Like, I feel like her a lot because I'm taking the jump too of a stable job. I feel about my day and making it productive. Like, and then Amanda, like, I'm all Amanda, like, oh shit, am I gonna mess it up? So they're all super relatable, so this has been great. Do you keep your social media separate, like your personal and then your work, or do you have it combined? Because I know a lot, like, I don't post a lot, but I always keep it I always picture, like, what if someone, if I ever need a job, is gonna look at my social media? It's all very clean. But do you guys have it separated, or is all in one?
I have a personal Facebook page and a business.
There.
But my personal, I put all my business. Obviously business is all business, but in my personal I put my nieces, like whatever I'm doing or whatever it is. I think I get business out of my personal, not the business. Because like you're saying, at the beginning I would pay for the reaches, and I would notice the same thing. The numbers were great, but then they started coming down, and then they were asking for more money. And then the outside reaches weren't even that high. So I do post a closing, whatever, in my business, but both my Instagram and my personal Facebook have both. It's a combination. And then my Instagram you can automatically switch it from business from personal to business. It's the same thing, but instead of requesting, they just follow. So you'll get messages, so-and-so is following you, instead of so-and-so is requesting. So they automatically see. So everything is open, pretty much, when you switch.
So for me, it's like all the same. And I know answering this question is different as a male than a female, because there are a lot of crazy guys out there. Few crazy women, but a lot less. So like, as a guy, I try and put it together. Like on my Instagram, just like you were mentioning, it's a business page. So I want to put at least once every 3 or 4 or 5 posts, something personal about me, if not more. And with my Facebook, the only reason I have a Facebook business, if I could do ads on my personal page, I wouldn't have a Facebook business. But I every week, 2 or 3 times, I'm doing ads on Facebook, my Facebook business, to get business. But I do put personal stuff and I crisscross them back and forth. So for me, again, being a guy, I want everyone to know everything about me. And one of the things, my intern is my niece there. So I do have that filter. So I'm always going to be thoughtful on what I post. And that was in the past. Now, of course, because I think I've grown a little bit, I'm not gonna post anything stupid. But that was my filter in the past. Hey, my nieces are on my social and I better be good about it, you know?
I don't have a business page, so everything's just my personal for now until, as I make some changes before I decide to make a business page. But it's all personal, everything goes together, business or personal, and I don't post a whole lot of stuff. Usually it's my dogs, or if I get a listing, and that's about the extent of it.
And you guys know that I have the same thing, same mentality. I use my personal, I do have a business. I think we all have created profiles all over the place, but it really becomes about looking approachable to people, looking amicable to people, and seeing that we also go to the movie theaters, we also go to the things, because Amit has also been like myself at one time in car sales, and back in the days, they thought that you were like the worst person in the world, so you gotta make people believe that you are like that, that you do go to the mall, that you do go to restaurants, that you do have a family, you understand? So that's the mentality as to why you're gonna do that, and trust me, Amit just said it himself. The only reason most agents have a business is because they're going to pay for reaches or for leads or for whatever it is. So if you're going to pay for it, yeah, go ahead. If not, then not. Now, following up on that question, do you all have at least a YouTube page? I know Amit for sure has. Do you guys do videos? Not yet?
I created it with you,
Right.
but it was only that one video.
So you haven't done it. With all the videos that you do in the homes, you still haven't. You gotta start out in them. Amanda? No, you gotta do it. See, I go to them because I know you, I mean, as myself, I'm a gorgeous guy and I know that. I still put videos out there. You know, I haven't done a few, but I still put myself out there. But can you imagine as ladies, I mean, you guys have to put yourself out there because of the smile. You know what I mean? If you do that, people see you approachable, and like Amit said, yeah, of course some crazy guys are out there, but that's why you set up buyer consultations, right? If you tell a crazy guy, hey, listen, hey, Carmen, I'm calling you because I saw your video and I want to buy a house. Well, yeah, okay, great, I do buyer consultations, come and meet me. If he's a crazy guy, do you think he's going to come to the office? You see what I'm saying? So you kind of get rid of those crazy psychopaths. Carmen?
So a lot of new agents don't really know how to spend their time throughout the day. I mean, we talk a lot about a 9 to 5, but when you work for a big corporation like I did for 15 years, they sort of tell you what you need to do throughout the day. So if you could put into a few words what you've learned over 15 years, 3 years, where you feel like a brand new agent should spend their time from 9 to 5, let's say, how would you block out the day for them?
Okay, so I guess I'll start. So I'll tell you, this is the easiest way I can do it. So for 11 years, I sold regular real estate, $300,000-$400,000 homes. Every once in a while, I sold $1 million plus, and I felt like I was the king, you know? But I from those 11 years, one day I said I want to sell luxury. So I was basically a new agent in luxury. So I was like, how can I do this? How can I spend my day? So the first thing is, and as a new agent, this would probably be the same thing. Most people don't know that we sell those type of properties or that we sell a property at all, you know? So my goal was every week. So on Tuesdays, they have brokers opens in Miami Beach, and Wednesdays they have them in down south. So my goal was to go every week to these brokers opens and whatever priced house it is, and then I would go live, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. But prior to that, I would say, hey, I'm going to check out a $20 million home or whatever, or $2 million or whatever, $200,000 home, whatever it is. And the first thing is you want people to see you on social. You want them to know what you do. The next thing I did is, so like I'd go to a house, I'd ask the agent if it was okay, you know, obviously, and then I would take a bunch of photos, do some video and whatever, and then I'd create a library of stuff that I have, and then every once in a while I'll put it out there. The next thing I did was I learned the market. I learned the market really well. Because it's sort of intimidating when you're new to if you get a call that's for $1 million house and you've never shown $1 million house, or even if it's 500 or whatever it is, you feel intimidated. So you have to feel the confidence first. By going to these brokers' opens, it made me confident. And it was actually bad a little bit, because then I felt like a snob. I'm like, oh, that's only $1 million house, you know? Like, who the hell am I, you know? But, so you get the confidence. Then you learn the market. Another thing is, this can help. I'm sure all of you go to people's houses for dinner or whatever, and you meet them at their house. So what I did is before I go to anyone's house, I look up comps that sold around the neighborhood. So when I go there and they're talking to me, they'll be like, how's the market? I'm not gonna like machine gun like stats or anything, no one cares. I would say, yeah, it's good. And I'd say, oh, it's interesting that a home sold there last week or 2 weeks ago. And then I would tell them a little bit about it. Yeah, I was surprised it was on the market for 200 days. And then all of a sudden that friend knows that you know the market in their neighborhood. Because everyone knows that you know business, that you do real estate, but they may not think that you know their market, or they may not think that you know anything, you know? And instead of calling up someone, hey, I'm new in real estate, would you like to go for coffee or something? I would call them up, how's it going? I haven't spoken to you in a while. The other day I was by this donut place and I thought about you, and let's just catch up. When can we go out? If you show interest in someone else, they're gonna show interest in you. They're gonna ask you, how's everything? And if you're honest with them and you tell them, you know, it's been going well, but you know, obviously I want to get better at this. And don't ask for business. You don't have to ask for business. If you're nice and genuine to them, in my 15 years, I've never asked one person for business. But last year, I've had 17 referrals from other agents around the country from not asking them in 1 year. So so as far as structuring your day, and I'm sorry I'm taking so long to answer, knowing the market, feeling that you're comfortable, putting it on social, and those days that you feel like crap, do content, create content, and do something, right? So you have to pretend that you are, so like, okay, I'll give you an example. Say someone asks me, I'm in New York, and someone says that they want to go to the Pines, right? They have a house, and then I tell them everything about her. I spend the whole day that whole night saying how great Dunya is, everything about her. Before they ever call her, they're gonna Google her. They're gonna find out who she is. And if they Google you and they find that you're a ghost, that you're nothing, you're not gonna get the call. I get a lot of listings from people that have Googled me. I didn't even know I was competing against agents, but because I do podcasts, because I do video, because I do photos, because I do everything that you can do that costs you zero, if they Google you, you're gonna get a listing or a buyer from doing just that. So never feel like there's nothing to do. There's always something to do. Pretend you're that consumer, do it, and keep putting it out there. I mean, that's why Maya's here. She's here just to listen so she can create content, you know?
And that just goes back to, just do it. Just do it. Just get out there and do it. There's no, what can I do now? I'll do something. You know, it's not in the office, it's not in, like that's why I tell you personally why I don't have cubicles. Because a cubicle becomes an area for you to hang out. If you're inside an enclosed room, you're inside of your laptop, trust me, there were times, I remember I had a cubicle, I had my laptop, and I was watching TV. I was literally watching TV. Nobody around me knew what I was doing, okay? And they thought that I was working, but I wasn't, just because I didn't know, you understand? And nobody really told me, just do it, just get out there, just go. Okay, so that's really what he's telling you. Just go to open houses, go to pre-construction, go to brokers' opens, do video, post video, and do. That's really what it is.
structuring my day because I do feel like there's days that I get more accomplished than others. So basically, like most of my morning is spent on whatever deals I have going, reaching out to make sure that the contracts are moving, scheduling inspections, things like that. And then a lot of my evenings are commissions.
When I was new, like you guys, I didn't know anything, obviously. So when I got with my brokerage, I made friends with several agents there. So I asked if I could go. I blocked out these times, 10 to 4, pretty much every day was my day. I had those set aside, and whatever their appointments were, I went with them. I went to the listing, I went to their showings, and then I was always agents that don't want to do their open houses. So I always had my name up. Anybody need an open house? I did the open houses. That's how I got 90% of all my listings, is from hosting those open houses and the other buyers. So in the beginning, I literally rode around with other agents to their appointments to see how they do it, listen to how they're, and each one was different. I had about 5.
You just heard from her, 90% of her listings came from hosting the open house. They were not her deals, guys. Those were not her homes. Those were not her listings. She just went out there and posted about it, talked about it, mentioned to people what was out there. And that's how she got her deals. Okay? Great. Another question?
Sorry, going back to what you said, but there were open houses, like from your office.
Yeah, they were from my office, other agents.
Guys, but understand that you can call anyone. Okay, Diana does it. What did you just tell me before we started? She posted something when yesterday?
Properties, no. It's on my listing, but since I don't have nothing, I want to make something and everything. So I'm posting now.
And then you got 2 calls, you said?
From one.
So she got 2 calls. There are other people's. All you gotta do is call the other agents and say, hey, listen, can I market your home? She has the email that says, yes, you may market my home. Back in the days, the MLS had a button that tells you, yes, you can market it. Now they made it to where you have to email someone, have it in writing, because they are the ones that have that listing position. But guys, there are agents that may tell you no, but there's a bunch of agents that'll tell you, yes, please go ahead and do it.
And by the way, I was posting on like only my neighborhood, and I went to the Vista the other day and found a friend, and she was like, "You'll be showing houses on your neighborhood, I live in Hollywood, you know, if I want to make business with you, don't know nothing about that." And I thought about it, and now I'm looking to the MLS, and I'm not just asking to those people to market their property on my neighborhood. I'm marketing like everywhere. Hollywood, you know.
Which is what Amit's doing.
I know people that they are not ready to buy right now, but they want to know what is in their neighborhood, you know. So.
Which is what Amit's doing to the other agents in the nation. And you hear how many deals he did last year just from referrals from other agents. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
What inspired you, Amit, from selling regular real estate to going into luxury?
You know what? And I'm sure Yuri could relate to this a lot. The average agent sucks, no matter what the price point is. And it's like you do this deal and you think, oh, I'm gonna learn so much from this agent that's selling this. I remember the first $3 million house that I showed. I was nervous, scared, whatever. I got there way early because I was scared that I would be late. The other guy comes late, wearing jeans, which jeans is okay depending on who your client is and what the area is, late, and then on the phone the whole time, and like giving no respect. So I figure that if I sell, you know, but with luxury, I'm gonna like add a little bit to your question. You can't do the same thing as luxury as you do for a regular sale. I was working with a heat player, and I can't just call him up and ask him like, hey, what's going on with you? Are you ready to buy or whatever? When he tells me what he's looking for, I have to call up other agents in the area and find out off-market homes. I have to provide value. If I'm gonna get a 6-figure commission, I need to have something different. And I know that if you're dealing with a celebrity or something, if you text them, they're probably gonna return your text 2 out of 10. They're not gonna return it every time, but I know every time that they're seeing it. So You have to have a different mindset, and you should have that mindset anyways if you're an agent for a buyer. Don't be like, hey, I'm just gonna schedule your appointments to see the properties. Because if that's the case, our value is very little. But if you tell someone, they say, I'm looking for this area, that area, whatever, and you say, okay, besides the ones that show online, I'm gonna see if I can find any others that are off market. I'm not saying I'm gonna find anything, but I'm gonna let you know. Because then they're gonna see that there's value. Because even if you tell them that there's nothing, and there is nothing, they're gonna be thinking that it's called FOMO, fear of missing out. They're gonna think that, man, if I would have used her, maybe I could have found something else that I couldn't find. So yeah, luxury, it's just a mindset, just creating that value every time.
And one question that nobody has asked, which is kind of weird, okay? Commissions, right? So do you guys in your listings, have you lowered your commissions?
Never. 6% plus 350 is what we charge. I've never lowered my commission. If I'm doing a deal and it's tight where maybe inspections or the seller's losing money or something, I don't mind helping out, but going into it, I provide value. And I know that I'm gonna spend a lot more than another agent is. And if I think when you create your brand well enough, they never ask you to lower the commission because they see the value. You're attracting them rather than you chasing them. So it's not a big deal.
I have, when it's a seller that's gonna use me for sale on your purchase, in instances like that, I do 5, 2.5 on both sides.
But then you're getting basically 6, 7, 8%
Right.
on a deal. So yeah, that's really the only time that you should be doing it.
Mine's the same with her. The only time I've done it is one they asked. Because if they don't ask, it's 6%. And they're buying on the other side. And then I don't really mind doing it.
And there you go, guys. So you know that there is no norm. You can't say, oh, the norm is, there is no norm. It's all negotiable. But you can tell that during the negotiation that the answer is, no.
We're actually looking to increase our commissions, because we see value what we're doing. And just to add what they were saying as far as lowering it, if I would make a suggestion, if you are doing the buyer and seller side, lower it give them a credit for the buyer side. Because sometimes they sell the house, they don't buy a house, and then you lost. But if you do 6 or whatever the number is, and they're buying something, and you say, hey, I'm gonna give you a point or 2 points, or whatever. I'm not saying not to be generous, but do it on that side, because sometimes people can do things that you don't think they're gonna do.
And at the same time, it kind of forces them to continue with you.
Right.
Because you're giving them a plus.
Right.
So they're gonna be like, oh, the other guy's gonna give me something. I'm not gonna leave on. So great. One last question, guys. So go ahead.
How typically does, give like an example, kind of like a social media turns into clients?
A deal?
Yeah, like a deal.
So like, I can tell you this, the agents, and I'm not saying you or anyone else, but the agents that have the mindset of the return on investment on branding are not gonna do it well. I know that this is like, since I've started branding, probably like 3.5 years ago, it was just me, a single agent, by myself, and then I started spending on branding, and the ROI on my business is I have 2 other agents that work with me. We have a videographer following us, and it grows. If you show value and you do it where it's consumer focused, not how great I am, because no one cares, then it will grow. It will grow astronomically, because if you see like all these commercials, it's so weird, because if we look at real estate, it's so different than other businesses. When Nike advertises, when Gatorade advertises, when Budweiser, when all these companies advertise, they never advertise the product. They advertise the brand. And in real estate, we advertise the product. It's so stupid that we do that. So why not do what others do? It takes time. It takes a lot of time. But if you're in this for the long run, it'll take you 4 or 5, 6 months before you get anything. But if you have that mindset that, okay, I have to just work more hours, I'm gonna hustle like what I'm gonna do, plus I'm gonna do this, because we all need to make a living too, that if you do that over a long time, it's crazy.
I mean, but when you like receive emails, calls, like how
So I'll give you an example. I did a $6 million lead because someone saw, so I had a property that was $6.5 million. I spent $20,000 marketing it. I never sold it, okay? People have told me all the time, like, oh my God, that's so bad. But because of that property, I sold $16 million in business from it. So it doesn't matter, but so someone saw a video, another agent saw a video of that property that I did, that I overspent on, whatever, and I closed a $6 million deal in Fisher Island because that agent saw my video and they referred me that person. So it's all, you can't connect the dots sometimes, it's just the whole thing.
No more questions? All right, so I wanted to thank Amanda, Amit, and Dunya. It's been incredible. Do you guys feel it was great information? Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate you like crazy. You guys know that. And you know, look them up. You'll see what they're doing. Follow them. You know, for me, it's a little bit different now. My mindset has kind of changed. But you guys will see that I personally, when I was back in the business, I as an agent, would say, I was doing exactly what they were doing because it became about our branding and showing our value. You understand? Now it's more about I need to brand the company, right? For you guys. But now you guys are listening from agents, not your broker, let's say, or your company person, as to what to do. In fact, you guys need to do what other agents are doing. Okay? Hopefully that has helped.
Could I add something?
Yes, go ahead.
So I know, like, when I started in real estate, no one helped me. And even though we don't work for the same brokers, any of you at any time could hit me up and I'll be happy to help you with scripts, role play, whatever you need, marketing, I'll be happy to. And the two on my team would as well, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. I would like a picture.
Okay, cool.